Genius for life. Coconut smoothies coming at you.
All right, welcome to episode 4 of 15 Minutes of Genius. We are filming from Manhattan Beach Studios. Obviously, it is in Manhattan Beach. And before, I am so excited about introducing our next guest. Met him a few years ago in the business. The guy's a legend. He's amazing. Before getting into that, just want to give a quick shout out and plug to my guy, Mark Nicholas. He is manning this entire setup. He is the king of the castle. He's the captain of the ship. And he is the one that's managing all this. And so all the cool logos, all the cool words, the lighting, this is all him, not me. He's a genius in this production studio. Manhattan Beach Studios is where we're at. And his email, markn@manhattanbeachstudios.net. If you need any help from him for anything, markn@manhattanbeachstudios.net. All right, so we're going to roll right into it. Here's the intro. Chris Robb is a brand strategist and entrepreneur in the North American natural food industry. Chris is currently working as a senior account executive for Dirty Hands LLC, a national sales and merchandising company specializing in store-level execution for the highest velocity brands in premium natural food retail. Chris has also co-founded multiple ventures, including New Barn Organics. I've had that drink before, the almond milk, in 2014. A leader in the plant-based movement with top-selling SKUs in the organic almond milk category. Chris advises multiple early-stage food entrepreneurs and is also an advisor for ICA Fund Good Jobs and Endeavor Detroit. All right, my man, Chris, how you doing?
What's up, Bob? Good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And to his big credit, number one, he's on the East Coast. So we're filming this around like 6:30, 7 p.m. right now. It's like the fact that you have energy right now, it's like almost bedtime. Pretty amazing. And on top of that, you just had a new baby boy. So how does that
That's
feel?
right. It's great. He's a little over 3 weeks old, and so if you hear some crying in the background, I apologize. But yeah, we're doing it. We're hanging in there. So
Awesome. Awesome. It's the at-home authentic video cast where any noise from family members, we're
yeah,
editing it all in. We're not going to leave anything out because it's all about finding out who we really are. It's all personal. So
absolutely. My dog's sitting here right on the couch with me, so it's as organic as it gets, which is right up your alley. I know.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm all about organic. Yeah, as we all know. So awesome, man. So we're just going to get right into it. I got some notes on my phone here. So just tell us about really just the start of how you got into CPG. I also know, your father heavily into CPG for a long time and the pioneer, but tell us more about your story, your family story, and then we can also get into about what you're doing now as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually grew up in natural food retail. So my parents started a natural food store in 1978 in Northern California. My dad stayed in the business and worked his way up from a store team leader for Whole Foods in 1991, I believe he started, all the way to co-CEO. So kind of a deep history. I watched him, kind of go up the ranks within Whole Foods and just kind of fell in love with the business myself. And so, that's the very quick story of our family history. But my brother and I have been working in the space since about 2003. And in 2014, we started New Barn Organics, which is still going. And, we're like you, committed to organics, committed to, products that, create easy, healthy, affordable options for folks. And, I really fell in love with merchandising and distribution because I come from the brand side and I watched retail my whole life, and I saw all of the problems that exist in the stores and at store level, and I wanted to be a part of a company that was helping solve those problems for brands like yours. And I know we've connected kind of on that premise, and it's a great example of the folks that I get to talk to every single day of the week for what I do with my work, and I absolutely love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's a great group of people. We have about 130 people across the country now, and our folks are going into stores every single day of the week and getting the job done for brands like yours. So um, yeah, I mean, it's a deep history I have with the industry. I've been to every single Expo West since 2003. I don't know if we're going to have another Expo West, but I'll certainly be there if we do. And yeah, I love this industry. I love the folks in it, and it's an awesome experience day in and day out.
I love it. I love it. And, it is so important. One thing that I learned from being in the space and, keeping these guys on the shelf is like, or any brand, especially refrigerated where the turns are higher, it's having shelf presence. And from when I last checked recently, Dirty Hands is pretty much the largest partner with Whole Foods as far as merchandising services, shelf presence, turning product and all that good stuff that brands like us really, really need. Tell us more about the evolution of Dirty Hands. Tell us your coverage. I know that Whole Foods was really the start of where you covered the brands and where you helped them for shelf presence and distribution. But now you're breaking out and going into more stores nationally. So tell us more about Dirty Hands, how it started, where it's at now, and where it's going.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Started in the Northeast in Whole Foods exclusively, and kind of grew up. So the company's 7 years old now. We are serving every single region of Whole Foods today, which is awesome. We have about 90 people across the country doing that work. We're seeing each Whole Foods store multiple times per week. So it's very high touch, to your point about refrigerated beverage or perishable products or high velocity goods that need to be worked every day and need to, make sure they're in stock, and promo periods, which are so important at Whole Foods, are executed properly. I mean, Whole Foods, I like to say Whole Foods is like the Ferrari in natural food industry. I mean, it's more volume than anybody else. And, it's over 500 doors. So it's a huge engine for the entire industry. And it is a core competency of ours. We're a leader in serving Whole Foods market, and that's very much the basis of how the company was built. We are serving about seven other core regions of natural independent retailers, which are also incredibly important for small brands to not just consider, but really put a lot of effort into, because it's a resilient and diverse foundation of retailers that really can help you grow and saturate each region, which is very important. Makes your trade spend and your marketing spend go a lot further. And we're starting to dip our toes into expanding out into conventional. So we did that with ShopRite last year, and we're looking at quite a few other accounts to move into. And it's been a weird year in 2020, obviously, especially having a business where we're on the front lines. Our folks are on the front lines, and just doing an incredible job showing up and being there. I think it's a real testament to the way the business has grown. We're not, we don't hire a lot of contract workers. It's primarily full-time employees, and we have an incredible culture. And so that all adds into the experience that we create for our brands. And so, yeah, it's 2021 is looking very attractive, because 2020 was a bit of a beast, in terms of all the ups and downs and COVID and all the rest. So
Yeah, and you guys were actually, for part of 2020, Whole Foods was not even allowing, maybe I got the story, I want to make sure I have the story right, not allowing merchandisers for part of definitely the surge of COVID, just because of social distancing and having less people in the stores. It's kind of a scary period to go through, as like manning so many people and so many people depending on Dirty Hands for their livelihood, where they can't even do their job or go into the stores because Whole Foods had to take measures to protect their employees and customers and not having too many people in the stores at once. So how was it
yeah.
handling that entire thing, just that entire event?
Man, I just, it's so first of all, we've actually been in the stores the entire time. We never got stopped. We never stopped going in stores. We did get limited in terms of how many stores we could visit in one day. So we were seeing one store per day versus the typical two that we see. Um, and that was really challenging on our routing, on our people, our entire executive team. Was out in the stores helping, our account jobs done. And man, that was just a tough time. And it really everybody and put them to the limit and to the max. And we learned a lot about who we were. And, I think we've come out of it much stronger, thankfully, or are coming out of it. I don't think we're out of the woods yet. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's to have stayed to be working in this business when a time when so many people are losing their jobs, and it's just a tough time, and so just grateful to be working in this industry, grateful that our folks never stopped going to stores, and put us in this position now where we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we're luckily coming out of this, and a lot of people just want to be done with 2020 in general and roll into 2021 and kind of just reset the clock here. But it is
No doubt.
truly admirable, like a huge testament to your team that really they're going into the stores. They're not stopping what they needed to do, which is take care of brands and help with shelf presence, to be visiting stores during a time like where COVID was surging and to be out there in harm's way, but yet do it in a careful way to stay safe and also do their job, is like, that's a huge testament to your service, right? You're not stopping for anything. You keep going and you punch through any kind of challenges that are coming up. So let me ask you, what is the future? We're going to get into more about words of genius from you. I think you're just a genius in your own respect. But what is really the future of Dirty Hands? I know you want to go into conventional. You're going to be expanding more. Are there any new innovations? I guess innovation is the wrong word. Are there any new programs that you want to put in place in 2021 to continue expanding Dirty Hands?
Yeah, I mean, we're exploring everything. So I think it's tough to know where we're fully going to land. I mean, I think expansion is definitely the one thing I can confidently say we're going to do in 2021. Um, we're going to expand our footprint. We're going to cover more doors with the way that we cover doors, which is full service, full time people, relationship driven. We want to be in stores building relationships on the behalf of a curated portfolio of brands. That's what we do. That's our differentiator, and we want to do that more places. So that is definitely number one. We also are going deep and doing a deep dive with data. So how can we leverage the data that we collect? Can we partner with other folks and really build strategies and key insights for brands through all of the information that's constantly funneling through our system? So that's another huge opportunity that we see that will unfold starting, right now, but also into 2021. I think we're going to have a lot more clarity on where we can take that.
That's great. And one plug that I'll make is that if you are a brand that is, young with Whole Foods, middle stage, or even if you're a mature brand in Whole Foods, or even outside of Whole Foods, getting into conventional and other stores that Dirty Hands is now covering, it is imperative to have merchandising. You cannot, just from what I've learned with Genius Juice, you cannot just put a product on a shelf and pray and be like, I hope this sells, right? The presence, out of stocks are a killer, where Whole Foods has so many brands, it's hard for them to manage all that unless you have a DSD like High Touch or Rainforest. But it is really hard to manage the shelf at all these stores. So my experience with them and working with Dirty Hands in the past, like, very professional, hits all the stores multiple times per week, the hot stores multiple times per week, to make sure that your product is never out. And that way you get more velocity, more data, which helps you get into additional stores as well. So it really looks good for the buyers. All right, so man, I could talk about this all day. I want to transition to my next question, which is really, we only have a couple minutes left, just real rapid fire here. You've already kind of mentioned some of this already. what are some words of genius that you have for anyone watching, right? It doesn't have to be directly about merchandising. It could be just in general, starting a CPG brand, surviving, thriving, getting into Whole Foods, expanding, into more retailers alongside with Whole Foods. Like, what is your advice just to entrepreneurs out there that are starting a brand or looking to build their CPG business? And I guess what have you learned along the way with working with so many brands nationally?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could talk about this all day too, and I do. I would say it's very uh, to understand what your primary differentiator is, and really make sure it's easy for the customer to grab onto. I see a lot of people that come and they want to solve a lot of different problems, and they maybe even do. But the customer has to understand what your value prop is. There's more noise now in the industry than ever. It's easier to create products than ever. To build packaging and build a good brand. So you're competing, and also to bring it to market faster. With e-commerce solutions. So I think the one thing I would say is 85% of food sales, even looking at COVID and the spikes that we're seeing, uh, the sales are done through retail, through physical retail. It's the railroad. I was listening to something on Warren Buffett today, and he's talking about the railroad versus the internet. And the reality is there's still a ton of value in these physical retailers. So don't take them for granted. Use them as part of your foundation. Build a strategy that's inclusive of them. I see way too many entrepreneurs try to say, "Hey, this doesn't make sense to go through regular distribution. It's too expensive. It's too clunky. There's too much trade spend. I'm going to go only direct to consumer." And in some cases, that is the right strategy. But in a lot of cases, you're leaving a lot on the table when you're not considering, these great teams of people who are showing up every day in these doors to go to work, and will represent your product well if you build a relationship with them. So you don't have to hire a merchandiser to go build a great relationship with a retailer. You just have to put in a lot of work. And I think that that's my number one recommendation is roll up your sleeves, be kind to people, walk in a store and be helpful. Don't tell them that you're frustrated that they didn't order. Don't tell them that you're upset that they didn't take your fifth SKU. Go in and show them that you're willing to be alongside of them. And I think that you'll earn a lot of respect in this industry by doing that. And I think that by taking advantage of the physical network that still does exist and account for so much of the sales, you'll build a great business and you have a great shot to leverage all of the other avenues that are now coming valuable.
Awesome. Awesome. I think the main thing that, the takeaway from everything you said beyond everything else is so many words of just wisdom that we can take away from this. The big takeaway I got was just relationships, store level, just building trust, because the better the relationships are, the more they're going to support your product in the stores. And I'm a firm believer that in-store is still king, especially for perishable. Online, it's grown a lot, but in-store is king. Awesome, man. This was we're out of time, but man, this was an amazing interview. I think you just packed so much goodness, like it's inside the coconut, all the goodness. You packed it all in right there on the show. So if anyone wants to reach you, Chris, to either look into Dirty Hands or just to chat with you and get to know you more, what is your email, and also what is the Dirty Hands website?
Yeah, absolutely. It's Chris Robb, so CHRISROBB at dhstoresupport.com. And that's the URL right there, dhstoresupport.com for Dirty Hands. So feel free to reach out anytime. I love to hear what you're up to, what you're doing. If you're passionate about it, so am I. And we can evaluate it together, and that's what I love to do more than anything. So feel free to reach out for sure.
Awesome, awesome. Definitely reach out. This guy knows what he's doing, and Dirty Hands is an amazing service. And any brand in stores, you need that presence. Chris Robb.
Alex, I just have to say too, my wife is such a huge fan of your products. I think
Oh,
I got her
thank you.
hooked. So definitely keep doing what you're doing, man.
Uh,
It's been great to get to know you, and appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, likewise. Yeah, you've been an inspiration, and man, it's really great getting to know you over these last few years. And by the way, I just sent you a sample package, including our new flavor, the vanilla cinnamon. So anyway, I'm done plugging myself, but thank you for the compliments and accolades, Chris. All right, so that is episode 4 in the books with Chris Robb, Senior Account Executive for Dirty Hand Merchandising, one of the largest merchandising services in the country right now, especially natural. And man, it was amazing. So 15 minutes of genius, episode 4, done. We'll be coming back next week for episode 5, continuing to have entrepreneurs and pioneers in the CPG space offering their advice and their genius to all the entrepreneurs that are out there. So that's it for us today. Thank you for watching, and stay genius, my friends.
Genius for life. Coconut smoothies coming at you.